In the early 1980s, knowing and loving people who lived and died of AIDS forever changed the trajectory of my story. They taught me life is precious, and my life may be very short. They challenged me to make every moment count, to make my life matter, to make it all mean something. I realized my calling was to live and to tell my truth, to shine my light into darkness, and to try to change the world, and I started and never stopped.
I have the pleasure of introducing Nicholas Snow, the host of PromoHomo.TV, a DAP client, longtime client, founder, and executive producer. Thank you so much, everyone.
Good evening. I'm deeply honored and a bit overwhelmed, actually, to have been invited by David Brinkman to be with you today. The common bond which unites all of us is our collective commitment to making the world a better place. And I'm so grateful for your mother. Thank you. The reality is that without you, without the people who stand behind DAP Health, I might not even be here. For I am one of the people for whom you have made the world a better place. Thank you. 525,600 minutes. If that sounds familiar to you, it's because you're used to hearing it like this. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. In Rent, Jonathan Larson asked, how do you measure a decade? On my mind and in my heart these days, now that I can see beyond the desperation of trying to survive just another day, is how do I measure a decade, especially the last decade? The one that transpired after I thought I would no longer be here. The one that may have never happened, for me anyway. The last 4 decades did not happen for so many people we still carry in our hearts. In the early 1980s, knowing and loving people who lived and died of AIDS forever changed the trajectory of my story. They taught me life is precious, and my life may be very short. They challenged me to make every moment count, to make my life matter, to make it all mean something. I realized my calling was to live and to tell my truth, to shine my light into darkness, and to try to change the world, and I started and never stopped. I gave my first on-camera television interview as an openly gay man as early as 1986, maybe even earlier. I have attended ACT UP and Queer Nation demonstrations, celebrated in pride parades, and taken my next step on National Coming Out Day and every day for decades. My first awareness of this sacred space that has evolved into DAP Health was in the early 2000s when I lived in Palm Springs for a few years. In my capacity as a journalist, I came to know people who worked here. I came to know, love, and advocate for DAP. I moved away, and in 2007, 8,000 miles away from here, my storyline took a sharp turn. After decades of being on the front lines in one way or another in the fight against HIV and AIDS, because of a rare slip in my safer sex practices, I became HIV positive. In retrospect, I realized that isolation, loneliness, and depression were part of the equation. I did what I could to keep it together for the next few years, but my world was slipping away from me. In 2011, I hatched a plan to return to the United States, to Palm Springs, for two reasons. The first, a good friend of mine had a sofa I could sleep on if I needed it. The second, I needed to become a client of DAP, to rebuild a foundation upon which I could build a future. Just over 10 years ago, on the edge of homelessness, with no health care, very little money, no car, and very few possessions, I stepped into that building looking for a way to survive, for help, a way to rediscover my reason for living. It was my goal, my hope, to move into the Vista Sunrise Apartments by April 25th, 2012, my birthday. And being all about creative visualization, I had visited the property on numerous occasions and had a very clear idea of where I wanted to be on the property, with a spectacular, expansive view of the gorgeous mountains rising from the desert floor. Those gorgeous mountains. Fast forward, and the 10th anniversary of my move into the Vista Sunrise Apartments is this April, the same month in which I will turn 60, at the end of a decade that may have never happened, for me anyway. But you see, it did. I'm still standing over 6 feet of snow right here. David knew this, I didn't. The people that produced this event knew this, I didn't. But this is what brings tonight full circle. On Wednesday, December 29th, I accessed a COVID test via a nurse visit at the Green Clinic after traveling for the holidays. On Saturday, January 8th, I picked up boxes of groceries right over there, a result of DAP's monthly collaboration with Find Food Bank. On Friday, February 4th, I went to LabCorp inside the Barbara Keller Love Building for my blood draw in preparation for my routine follow-up appointment with my primary care physician, Dr. David Morris. By the way, I knew and loved Barbara Keller. She was my champion and holds a big place in my heart. And I was at the Steve Chase Humanitarian Awards the night Annette Bloch gave $3 million to DAP, and also with some of you and Mrs. Bloch on the corner of Vistachino and Sunrise when we dedicated the Cancer Care Center in her name. This month, Wednesday, February 9th, I had my annual visit with Dr. Daniel Joe in the dental clinic, and I scheduled my biannual teeth cleaning because I've gotten good at being camera ready. The next day, I saw Dr. Morris in the Green Clinic to review the consistently fabulous results of my blood panel. I always hope that Dr. Morris doesn't have a patient scheduled right after me, because we have become great friends and I cherish every moment that I have with him. I'm so grateful to have a car now, but I didn't need it for any of those appointments. My biggest travel time is 5 minutes of casual strolling. One of my most significant primary relationships during the first year of the pandemic, seriously, was with my therapist at the time, Dr. Jill Gover, via Zoom, and she's standing right over there, pretty in pink. So it was wonderful to bump into her the other day, IRL, in real life, when we both happened to be out for a lunchtime walk. Almost precisely 10 years ago, in March of 2012, I received notice I could move into the Vista Sunrise apartments and was invited to complete the paperwork. Upon leaving the office, it dawned on me I had envisioned being in the apartment by my birthday. I moved in April 4th, so I woke up in those apartments right over there, April 25th, my 50th birthday. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. Times 10. After moving in, I wrote in my journal, which has become this book. Once again, legions of angels had swooped in. You, all of you, and everyone who stands behind DAP Health are among my legions of angels. Thank you for my home, and thank you for my life.